Hello, everyone, and welcome to our inaugural SACNAS CareerCon 2022 event. Please allow me to introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Elizabeth Aguilera, and I am the Professional and Leadership Programs Manager at SACNAS. But please call me Liz. I have been your main point of contact for all things CareerCon. Currently, I'm in Colorado where the temperature is a high of 10, so hoping that y'all are staying warmer out there. But joining me today and for the rest of this event is my co-host and wonderful colleague, Daniela.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Bernal. I am the Associate Director of Communications and Membership at SACNAS. I am joining you today from Santa Cruz, California, where I actually don't know the weather. I honestly haven't been outside yet. Shout out, yeah, probably. From my window, it looks like yes. Shout out to my California peeps. If that's you, drop it in the chat or drop wherever you're from in the chat. It is my pleasure to join you, Liz, and all of you as your co-hosts for the next 3 days. Liz and I will be your touch points throughout the event.
Before we begin, I want to welcome my other colleague, Daryl, who will lead us in our cultural grounding for this event.
Thank you, Liz. De onde, Papa, Dr. Daryl Tapado Monto, con Bema, Saknes Giat Saldedo. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here with all of you in this space. My name is Dr. Daryl Monto, Bema. She went running. It's my Kiowa name, given to me by my dad, the late Burgess Tapado. I am the Associate Director for Mission Programs and Native Initiatives at SACNAS. And again, it is my pleasure to be here with you. On behalf of SACNAS, we would like to take this time to share and give you an opportunity to reflect and ground yourself before we begin CareerCon. Where we come from, who we come from, and what we represent is what adds to the uniqueness of our individual selves. And here at SACNAS, we encourage each of our members to always bring their whole selves to all of our events and gatherings. SACNAS is based out of California, which is the original homelands to over 200 tribal nations, bands, and rancherias of Native American and Indigenous people. I am coming to you today from Lawrence, Kansas, the original homelands of the Kickapoo, Ka, Osays, and Oceti-Sakowin people. Let us take a moment together to acknowledge the original inhabitants of the various regions which we all live and work in, as well as honor the rich culture of the Indigenous people across the country. Aho, thank you for being here, and I hope that you enjoy CareerCon.
Thank you for that, Daryl. We really appreciate you providing us with that wonderful cultural grounding. We encourage everyone to post the Indigenous lands that they reside on in the chat. Now, before we continue with the Welcome Reception program, I want to ask the members of our audience if they are familiar with the origin and history of SACNAS. Anyone? I know that you can tell us all about that, Daniela.
Yes, I love sharing this story. I'll make it kind of quick. SACNAS actually began with a very simple observation. Almost 50 years ago, a handful of Chicano, Hispanic, and Native American scientists were in an elevator at a science conference, and you'll see that depicted at the top left of the image on your screen. And it was in this elevator ride that they quickly realized there were no other scientists there who looked like them. In fact, they joked that if the elevator crashed, there would be no more scientists of color. And today, almost 50 years later, there still is a disparity between the diverse population of this country and those who are obtaining degrees and careers in STEM. But we at SACNAS firmly believe that the STEM enterprise must be reflective of our population in order to answer science's toughest questions and solve our planet's biggest problems. At SACNAS, all of us together are closing this gap, and we do it not by conforming to what a scientist is supposed to look like, but by creating a space where our members can bring their whole selves to the classroom, to the lab, to the workplace, and to here, CareerCon. Since that elevator ride, we've really grown larger than the elevator would fit. We are the largest multicultural and multidisciplinary STEM diversity network in the United States, with members in all STEM disciplines from all ethnicities. We're a fully inclusive organization. So everyone is welcome at SACNAS, and in this space we're creating here at CareerCon to know you belong, you're supported through training and mentorship, and please know that you can succeed in STEM. So with that history behind us and a part of us, I'd now like to turn it to our fearless leader, Dr. Pam Padilla, to officially welcome you and tell us more about our present and our future. Liz?
Of course. It is my honor to share our official CareerCon welcome by our current SACNAS president, Dr. Pam Padilla. Pam Padilla is the Dean of the College of Science at the University of North Texas, and more recently was appointed Vice President of Research and Innovation. She has a longtime history with SACNAS, attending the SACNAS conference as an undergraduate student.
Hello and welcome. My name is Pamela Padilla. I am the Dean of the College of Science and incoming Vice President of Research and Innovation at the University of North Texas. I am a long-term SACNista and the organization's current president. I am so happy to have all of you here today. Thank you to our attendees for joining us from all over the country to be part of this inaugural event. Thank you to our industry partners for investing in the SACNAS community and making these few days possible. Thank you to our panelists for sharing your wisdom and time with us. And of course, thank you to the International Center for Professional Development for your support in the development of this event. Finally, thank you to the SACNAS staff for organizing this event. CareerCon is a milestone for SACNAS. It is the first element of our response to both the changing demands and opportunities within the STEM enterprise, as well as the evolving needs for our members. In recent years, we have heard from our community that more and more folks are looking towards a career in industry. Today, the launch of this event, we are going beyond our roots to help individuals earn PhDs in advanced and academia into something much more. We are stepping forwards towards our vision of achieving true diversity within STEM. As SACNAS grows and as we grow, we must never lose sight of the traditions that bind us together and root us firmly. SACNAS stands for science, culture, and community, now and always. We began today with a cultural welcoming and grounding, and will continue by seeing affirming and standing in each of our strengths. And over the course of these 3 days, we aim to share our collective wisdom. After all, the sharing of wisdom in relationship with community is central to SACNAS. In fact, it is such experiences at SACNAS that led me to where I am today. We continue that tradition here and in all of our offerings. In that vein, we hope that this event is a milestone for you as well. We hope that it offers you a fun blend of active engagement with peers to build community and in the sharing of knowledge from those who have walked this path before. Perhaps most importantly for our participants, we hope this event contributes to the professional course you are charting for yourself through meaningful connections to our industry partners. I wish you a wonderful 3 days and many blessed connections. Thank you and good luck.
Awesome. Okay, I hope you're feeling as inspired as we are after hearing that. I know it's so cool to be part of an organization that really listens to members and responds to their needs, and it's exciting to be part of history. So actually, Liz, come to think of it, can you tell us more about our participants? Who's joining us in the audience today? How many people applied? Who's here? And where are they joining us from? In the meantime, if you haven't done it already, but I think it has been done, but keep going, drop your name and where you're joining us in the chat.
Danielle, of course, that is a great question. For our first ever SACNAS CareerCon event, we received over 200 applications that underwent review and have 133 joining us here today. Of those 133, approximately 15% are professionals and postdocs, approximately 60 are graduate students, about 1% being master's and postbac students, and then approximately 24% are undergraduates. We are so excited for all of you to join us today. I'm also excited to share with you some pictures and a few videos from our participants on how excited you are in joining us for this event.
Hello, my name is Clementine, and I'm from the University of Cincinnati Chapter of Science. I'm really excited for this year's CoronaCon because I get to interact with representatives of different companies that actually care about diversifying their workforce.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Hahn. I'm a fifth-year PhD candidate in ecology and evolutionary biology at UCLA. I'm training to be a marine evolutionary biologist and a STEM education researcher. And I'm most excited to attend SACNA's CareerCon because I want to explore career options that promote and retain diversity in STEM outside of academia.
Hi, my name is Priscilla, and I'm a PhD student at UT Southwestern Medical Center. I am very excited to be joining CareerCon this year because of the opportunities to network with industry partners that I wouldn't have otherwise. I am also excited to eventually, at some point in the future, join the Hispanic community to increase the number of diversity people and women in the area of industry.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I'm so grateful to be a participant in the 2022 SACNA's CareerCon event. I am most excited about learning how to be successful in industry, especially by engaging in career development and personal growth workshops. I also hope to expand my network by connecting with other career-seeking students and professionals.
Hello everyone, my name is Mario Mesa. I am a postdoctoral associate working at the University of Massachusetts Medical School, and I'm really excited to be part of this first CareerCon event organized by SACNAS, which will allow me to get in contact with the most important companies in the country and will help me boost my transition to the industry, where I will be able to use all my skills to help improve the quality of life of many people around the world.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that just warms my heart. I love that. That was amazing. It's so awesome to see all your beautiful faces. So with that, I hope you're just as excited as we are for this event. I know we are. So as you already know, CareerCon is more than a career fair. This is a training experience for our participants to gain insights into their most emotional intelligence, for you to get professional development and get directly matched with companies based on mutual interest. And we're so excited that you're here.
And with that, we would now like to take the time to give our official thanks to all of the people who made this event possible. First and foremost, I would like to thank the SACNA staff for their tireless work on this event, as well as the Juno staff. I would also like to thank our speakers for giving their time and sharing their insights and wisdom with all of us here today. With that, I would also like to give official thanks to our sponsors and partners that have helped make CareerCon possible. We would like to thank our platinum sponsor and partner, Johnson & Johnson. We would also like to thank our partners, Amgen, Gilead, the National Security Agency, NSA, Merck, IBM, Wells Fargo, and Texas A&M.
We'd also like to thank the International Center for Professional Development, or ICPD, for their assistance in the CareerCon curriculum, as well as their participation as moderators for 2 of our panel sessions. Be sure to keep on the lookout for more information on their scientist mentoring development programs. And this information will be shared by our cohort leaders in their Discord server. Is that right, Liz?
That's right, Daniela. Speaking of cohorts, I want to take this time to remind everyone to actively be engaging in your cohort throughout CareerCon via the Discord. There is a designated chat room for each day of the event. And as always, if you do have any questions, please make sure to direct them to your cohort leader.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz.
Of course. So we're just about to wrap up on our official welcome session for CareerCon. Daniela, do you have any Juno tips or tricks that you'd like to share?
Yes. So I would say definitely remember that Google Chrome is the preferred browser when you're using this platform. If you're having any technical difficulties over the next 3 days, please navigate to our Juno help desk. It's in the dark blue navigation bar at the top of your home screen next to the agenda. The help desk hours are from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday today, and 8:45 a.m. to 12:45 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, tomorrow, and Thursday. What about you, Liz? Any final tips?
Yes. So I do also want to mention that our code of conduct can be found in the help desk page, but also if you select more on the top dark blue navigation bar, which will pull up a left-hand side list, you can navigate to the code of conduct. This conduct is in place to ensure that all of our CareerCon participants adhere to our policies of maintaining professionalism and promoting an inclusive environment. If you do have any code of conduct concerns, please follow the link in the help desk, or you can directly find it in the code of conduct. A member of our SACNA staff will review the submission and get back to you by end of business day.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. Super helpful. I'm sure our audience appreciates knowing that as well. Lastly, I do also want to point out that we have a poll feature in our sessions. So in the chat panel on the right side of your screen, you'll notice a tab that says polls. We are actually using polls to take a quick survey of each session from our audience. And your feedback is super important to us. So please make sure to fill those out in every session.
Yes, and you'll actually notice that a poll was just posted. So if you navigate on over, you can participate in that poll and give us the feedback. But thank you so much for that, Daniela, and for that reminder. It does seem that that concludes our welcome reception for day 1 of CareerCon. Danielle and I will be checking in, and we will definitely see everyone for our concluding remarks for the day. And last but not least, welcome to CareerCon. Thank you, everyone, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, good morning. Greetings, Sacnistas. Let me just make sure y'all can hear me. Can I get a reaction, a thumbs up if folks can hear me all right? Awesome, excellent. You might also, just fair warning, you might also hear my my 4-year-old rampaging just outside the door. So let me get going and tell you who I am. Sorry, 1 second. Just trying to get to presentation mode. Sorry, folks, give me 1 second here. We may just need to do it like that, which will hope that will work. Okay. All right. Let me make sure. There we go. Okay. But after a slight technical difficulty, good morning. Greetings, Sacnistas. I literally could not be more excited to be joining you today. My name is Joe Harity, and I have the privilege of serving as SACNAS's Deputy Director for the past nearly 2 years, entirely in the pandemic, which means the opportunity to be with SACNistas is incredibly meaningful to me. So I'm very, very grateful to be with you today. In my role, I'm usually supporting the staff behind the scenes, so I'm particularly honored to spend a bit of time with you to build on the self-reflection that you've already been engaged with in regard to Clifton Strengths and contribute at least the tiniest bit to your career journey. It's truly an honor. So today is really all about standing in your strengths, and that's not just jargon. There's real value in this work from an industry perspective and from a personal perspective. We've begun the day connecting to SACNAS's historic strength of rooting in culture, and we'll build on that throughout the rest of the day, but in a bit more personal way, as we focus on growing and strengthening our sense of self in pursuit of careers we love. And we've infused a huge amount of another SACNAS strength throughout this event, as Dr. Padilla shared, the sharing of wisdom, the building of relationships and sharing of wisdom in community. But CareerCon is all about you. You'll hear from many SACNistas in industry and other representatives from our partners. You'll work with your peers to build community and define your next steps. And we really just hope that you have a wonderful experience over the next 3 days. And we are grateful for you participating in this inaugural event and helping us learn along the way. So Clifton Strengths is the first part of the event. It's the first part of what we're up to today. In terms of formal program here. So I'll kind of just go through a framing here. This is not meant to be an extensive deep dive into strengths. You've already begun working in it. You've taken the assessment. You've begun to do some of the reflective work, sharing with your cohort. And community is so important to SACNAS. We want to get you back in conversation with folks as quickly as possible, as that's where a lot of the richness comes. So I will do a pretty high level overview here. Our purpose is to help ensure that we've got a common language to think about, to grow, to discuss our strengths. And we have chosen to utilize the Clifton Strengths tools at SACNAS. It's a developmental tool, and essentially it makes talking about strengths a little bit more, a little easier and more accurate. In the Clifton Strengths, that 34 report that you got, that's your sort of, as Gallup says, your talent DNA in rank order. So we all possess those 34 strengths. To one degree or another, or those talent themes to one degree or another. But really where we find the most growth is people, our best ability to contribute is when we concentrate on those top 5 and top 10, really invest in and build those. At SOCNAS, here at the mothership, we have begun to work more intentionally with strengths over the past year, and we found real value. The opportunity to become more clear about what you bring to bear to a situation, to a team, to a project, as well as what you need from others to succeed, offer real profound learning. And we think in the context of CareerCon in particular, Clifton Strengths give us a really cool way to illuminate your ability to define your own narrative. So a few items to frame a bit more about why we're pursuing Clifton Strengths here at CareerCon. So the central premise of strengths-based leadership strength-based teams is that leveraging a company's asset and human strengths optimize performance. It shifts the focus from obstacles to possibilities so that we're not focused on trying to improve deficits, but trying to rather we're thinking about how to capitalize on resources, what we bring to bear, and really in the context of industry for the purposes of really strengthening an organization's productivity and profitability. So, but then just a few more items. So the Clifton Strengths is positive. Focusing on strengths, it can elicit positive energy because it's about what we do well and what we love. And that focus, it's inherently constructive, and it veers away from more traditional Western deficit approaches. It begins with seeing what's right. It's structured. So Gallup has an extensive library of resources, recommended processes, tools, and the prompts and exercises are designed to provoke thought and produce natural conversation. And it's important for, in particular, and you'll just a moment later hear inclusive, but can really help folks to engage in these kinds of conversations who might feel inhibited or otherwise uncomfortable to speak up and share. Provides a safe and facilitated avenue for communication. And then it's backed by data. This is built on more than 40 years of research. More than 25 million assessments have been completed, psychometrically valid. And folks who learn to use their strengths every day are nearly 8% more productive. Teams and managers who receive strengths-based feedback have about 9% more profitability. And there's a few other facts that we'll cite, but it's backed by data. It's not just feel-good stuff, and it's inclusive. Sort of one of the ideas here is that when we can begin to have names for our talent themes, when we can claim them, we get to embrace what makes us unique, and we are able to be celebrated for it. Strengths celebrates the individual. And when teams have Clifton Strengths as a shared language, difficult conversations and conflict resolution can become easier to navigate. And when we have positive, common terminology, that can serve as a bridge for cultural or demographic differences. And that's ever more important in a diversifying and multicultural world. It has Clifton Strengths has a developmental focus. So there's sort of no end to this. Clifton Strengths allows space for continual evolution. It's not just about like, I know the definition and these are my strengths and, this is who I am and what I am in a fixed way. It sort of aligns to that growth mindset idea. It's more than knowing definitions. It's knowing how you can intentionally use your strengths each day, and empowering folks to identify and articulate what they love to do, what they're great at doing, how they can best contribute, and then steadily evolve that over time. And then lastly, it's fun. Gallup has found that if people play to their strengths, they will begin to incorporate more of what they find fun within their jobs. And then so there's a bunch of reasons why we are embracing this, that we feel really aligned to the SOCNAS purpose and mission. But it's also common in industry. As you see here, more than 90% of Fortune 500 companies have used this approach. And it's kind of easy to see why when we look at a little bit of the data. Folks are more likely to be engaged in their jobs, more more likely to agree that they have opportunity to do what they do best, that they have an excellent quality of life. And then you see down at the bottom, teams and organizations that embrace teams that embrace strengths-based approaches have lower absenteeism, lower turnover, fewer product defects, higher productivity, customer rating, higher productivity, customer rating, sales, and profitability. So it's easy to see why industry embraces it as well. And then lastly, this is really about a process of self-awareness, and self-awareness really is the most important meta skill. Oh, and I just got a note from a team member to say that if anybody has been watching practice, that they should come and join the main room. It looks like I may have been in the wrong room. Hold on. Sorry, folks. Give me 1 minute here.
Hey, Joe, I just want to let you know the rooms merged, so everyone is in the right spot now.
Okay, the rooms have merged, so I hope that there's some folks joining us, and we can happily take a step back if we need to on anything. But we're just in the midst of telling you why we at SOCNAS really have embraced the Clifton Strengths approach. If you've just joined into this room, I'm Joe Harity, the Deputy Director, and I'm pretty dang thrilled to be here today with all y'all. So welcome. If you're just joining into this group, feel free to drop your name, where you're from in the chat if you want to check in here, and we will keep cruising. And I see one note from Alina that I'm not sure if it's just me. I don't see the presentation. Okay, there we go. Okay, thanks, Faith. So I will keep moving ahead. So the last piece that I was just about to mention is the importance of self-awareness and how Clifton Strengths contributes to that. It gives us a language, a way to think about ourselves. It gives us process and tools to reflect individually, to reflect with others. And we can't really overestimate the importance of that. Self-awareness is kind of like the meta skill in industry. You all have spent years, a decade or more, even for some of you, building your technical capacity, incredible and deep technical skills in your domains. And self-awareness is this unbelievably important element that feels like a little bit of a squishy word, but it is really, now there's been some research. Korn Ferry did a big research study, looked at almost 7,000 self-assessments of professionals, and at the stock market returns of 486 publicly traded companies. And they found that there was a real return on resources for organizations that had a stronger manifestation of self-awareness. So strengths on its own strengths-based environments produce real valuable results for individuals and organizations. And the larger idea of self-awareness, of being aware of blind spots and addressing those, has been linked to strong stock market returns for companies. And so as folks interested in heading into private industry, we think that there's real value here for you. All right, so a little bit more about strengths. I just want to spend a bit of time clearing up a few, or maybe not clearing up, rather just making sure we emphasize a few elements of the strengths framework. So there we go. Themes are neutral, just a few guiding principles to lay out, and then a few definitions. So a few guiding principles. First, themes are neutral. Clifton Strengths do not make people good or bad. People make themes good or bad. They give value to them. It all depends on your ability to productively apply your themes. Themes are not labels. Human beings are far too complex to be defined by any one word, whether that's a gender, race, or a theme name. These are all elements of identity. The purpose is to help us understand and appreciate the complexity and diversity of humanity. Lead with positive intent. Becoming aware of other talents gives you insights into how others think and feel, and the best opportunity to work and partner with others is connected to understanding, appreciating, and using this information in a meaningful way. Differences are advantages. So humanity's differences are not problems that we need to solve. Our differences are resources that create an advantage when we develop and use them wisely. And you can see how this really begins to align with Sogness's values around bringing one's whole self to STEM. And lastly, people need each other. None of this occurs in isolation. Strengths do not develop in a vacuum. We're all uniquely gifted, but it is with others' support and encouragement that we can become the best of who we are. We need other people to appreciate our strength, our contributions, and to gain greater awareness. Okay, let me jump into a few definitions of the different, there's a few words that you'll hear in the strengths conversation that it's important that we just make sure there's a common grounding in. So first is talent. And there's kind of a little bit of confusion between what's talent and what's strengths in this conversation. It is called Clifton Strengths, but it might best be called Clifton Talent Themes. But strengths is probably a more intuitive term. So talents are naturally reoccurring pattern of thought, feeling, or behavior that can be productively applied. It's kind of like it's hidden, or it's talked about rather as hidden, internal, potential, motivation, sort of the soul or essence. And it's the way we're hardwired. It's different. It's distinct from knowledge or skill, which is acquired. It's sort of the idea of that diamond in the rough that needs nurturing. Innate ways of being. Okay, so talent themes. These are the basic language of talent. When you're looking at your report and you see those 34 talent themes, each of those things, it's sort of like a single word and then a description. Then maybe the single word makes us think of that's the strength, but rather each of those 34 items are the talent themes. They're groupings or clusters of related items. And the research underpinning for Clifton Strengths has found that there's many different talents, but they can kind of be rolled up broadly into these 34 talent themes. Strengths then specifically is when we can achieve consistent, near perfect performance in a task. This is like expressed out in the world. It's observable, external, developed. It's maybe a role you're filling or doing or acting in. And the idea of Clifton Strengths is really that talent plus investment equals strength. Strengths are the result of deliberate action. So just to reiterate that the report that you got when you're looking at your top 5 or top 10, those are your talent themes that sort of collect a variety of your natural recurring talents and establish a theme that connects those. And then strengths is when we begin to invest in those talents and really deliberately cultivate them. And I think that begins with self-reflection and awareness. And that's a lot of what we're up to here. So then weakness, anything that gets in the way, we don't want to spend too much time on that. You get the most mileage when you develop your strengths, not when you try and really turn a weakness into a strength. You have to manage your weaknesses. We all have to be aware of them. But the real focus of this work is building on strengths, and that is what strength-based development is. So it starts by focusing on what we do well and emphasizes and builds on those strengths. They have a specific formula called name it, claim it, aim it. But this is what we'll be doing together today. There are 4 domains. You're probably all getting pretty familiar with this by now. Executing, influencing, relationship building, strategic planning. Each of the 34 land in one of those. And folks tend to have a theme that's sort of their what you lead with. Okay, been talking at you a lot. As my team knows, one of my greatest fears is to be talking at folks too much. I like to be a lot more in listening mode if I can. I will quickly pivot into the last portion here to help make this, to help us think about the application side of this in regard to CareerCon. Okay, so what can I do with my strengths? There's a few things that feel really important and relevant as we're thinking about our strengths. I just want to note so again, just re-emphasizing, this is backed by data. It's in use in industry, and we think that there's value here. But in some ways, it can sort of feel like a Rorschach test, like you can kind of see whatever you want in that ink blot. Or maybe, another example is it can feel like a horoscope that like you read it and then you find ways to see the truth of that in like almost any situation. So we wanted to think about a few specific things. So first of all, just emphasizing that your report is unique to you. So the first thing to do is just make sure you spend time with that. And when we get you to your cohorts and your in just a minute here, that's going to be the work that we're in. If you were to look at if you opened your 34 report and you looked at where it shows you your themes and it has the different blocks of descriptors, if strategic is my first theme, if I was looking at somebody else with strategic, those actual blocks would look different between us. It is entirely personalized to you. The nature of your themes and the expression of them really depend on what your top 5 and top 10 are, what your specific array of themes are. So the first piece is spend time with it. Okay, and so in the context of self-awareness and Clifton Strengths as a tool to help to cultivate this sense of self-awareness, there's a few different things that we encourage you to reflect on and think about, and we believe that these will help to also prepare you for those conversations with industry. First, what feels natural? What gives you energy versus what drains you? Becoming aware of when are you really operating in a strengths-based space and what that leads you toward. When do you feel that you are able to perform at your best? When do you feel excited and energized versus what things really take a tremendous amount of effort? Reflecting on that and becoming clear will give you language for the interview process that can help you to stand out. It's real clear when folks have a strong sense of self-awareness and when they don't. And that comes through in your ability to speak toward your skills, to define your narrative in the interview process with industry. Second, it's going to give you some language on how you show up as a teammate. So as you can see here, individuals who know their strengths work together to form better partnerships. More thoughtful partnerships can create stronger teams. So as you begin to develop more language around your strengths, as you become more familiar, you're going to have a better sense of how you show up as a teammate, and how you can, what you need from others as a teammate. And again, that sense of self-awareness is profound and it is observable. And it gives you the ability to speak to how you can drive business outcomes through or by employing your strengths. So the last thing then I'll share is just a little bit of a personal reflection I just got the note. I just got the hook that I'm over time. So the last thing I'll share real quick here is just a personal note, maybe to try and offer some of the an example here. And if I had been able to do PowerPoint, I'd have a clever animation here. This is my wife and I, and we both did the StrengthsFinders test. And I was going to give two examples, one personal and one as a team. But I will share that. So a couple of things that I have found tremendously valuable is understand where my strengths are operating synergistically and most powerfully. And those for me are strategic and activator. So really becoming familiar with the way in which I operate as a strategic thinker and strategic leader, really trying to understand varieties of paths forward, and thinking about what could be and how that intersects with my activator, which is really like activators like, when can we start? We're going to figure everything out by the doing. When I began to have language for those, I could understand some of the way when I would feel really intensely eager and urgent to begin a project. I now have a name for that, and I can know when I need to slow that down. I know more about the strategic side of me when I may be moving through different scenarios and I am not doing an effective job of communicating that to others. So it gives me language to name intuitive ways of being, and it gives me ways to think about when I may be able to deliver my best. So I have the best ability to, or I have a really strong ability to bring folks together and get myself and others to start a project, no matter how difficult. There's another side of this of where I recognize what things aren't for me. My activator and individualization are a part of that, where I'm if I'm going into an open networking space, I can find that very overwhelming because I want to know people very deeply and personally, and I want to get going, but I don't know how. So it's given me language to think about where I can be my best self and where are situations where I might find myself out of sorts. And it's given me language to be a better teammate to my partner, to my wife. But I'm getting the hook, so I am gonna cut myself off before Faith cuts me off. Thank you, everybody. This has been a wonderful opportunity. I'm so grateful. I'll get out of your hair, and I will give you the opportunity to get back in your cohorts, or to get to your cohorts to connect with your folks. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Faith Gladden, the Director of Conference and Events. I just wanted to give you a little update. You should be navigating to the agenda, which is found in the top part of your screen in the dark blue navigation menu. Go to the agenda, and then you'll find your StrengthsFinders cohort. Click there, and it'll direct you to the room that you're supposed to be in. Thanks, everybody. Have a great session. Bye.